I was finally here. I was finally on the part of the river I wanted to be on. The Cherokee knew it as Takeoste. It means where they race. Takeoste meant different things for each of us. For me, I felt like I was meeting an old friend. Brian felt like he was meeting a dangerous stranger. And Adam knew he was staring his enemy right in the eye, and the river had the upper hand. After a third night of almost no sleep, Adam was going to throw in the towel. He did not want to burden the group, and he knew that he was not up for what was ahead. He had made arrangements to be picked up in Marshall, where we would be meeting Greg later that day. These trips are not all rainbows and unicorns. They're hard. And sometimes it doesn't work out like you want, and sometimes your body and your mind don't cooperate. Looking back, it was definitely the right decision. We did not want him to leave, but convincing him to stay might place him in grave danger. I just needed to get him to Marshall in one piece.
We're just about ready to shove off our little island. I got to brush my teeth. Brian's kind of doing the same over there. Got my boat put together, solar panel ready to go. Got a few snacks, everything else kind of tucked away. I'm gonna run this big rapids if you see it through the trees. It's kind of a jumbly looking class 3. Got a big hole on the right, but I plan to miss that. I'd punch it anyway, but it'll be the first honest rapid on the trip for me. I think as it stands right now, I think the guys are going to try to limp through over here, or walk their boats through and put in. It's a little too manky to try to get a 14.5 foot boat through this stuff. Whitewater boats all day long, no problem, but we don't want any issues. And I can see boogie water and whitecaps for half a mile down the river. So the river's picking up. This is section 6 of the French Broad. Craggy Dam is just up here. We made that portage yesterday. Okay guys, so we are here walking the river, walking this really jumble rapid here to see if we can find the boys a place to limp down and or ride it out. A little line, they can kind of a sneak line they call it. So whenever you're doing this, go ahead and throw the helmet on. One slip and your day is ruined, and everyone else's. Just a whole lot of drop. Not a lot of good places to put a 14-foot boat. Kind of what we're looking at here. Okay, I found a line. If they want to try it, stay on the right side, coming through here. Snug up against these pipes. Just keep it pointing straight, left lean, you're in the current, ride the wave trains out. There are a couple big boulders. They'll just have to miss down below if they take this line. And you don't want to get near this tree right here. But it's up to you. If I was going to run it and I wasn't the outside, I'd be here. All right, here I am at the big rapid. You got some inflow coming from different directions up here, that little bitty island. I'll probably come right in through there, get out. And I use this piece of 2x6 and that piece of sheet metal to guide me. That's where I'm shooting for. I'm gonna go through this slot, not hitting this pillow rock, not hitting that old rock there or that one. There's a channel right through there. And then at the bottom, you don't want that stick in that other rock. At the bottom, there's a big rock out there. So I want to start angling to the right towards that branch and then angle back to the left to avoid the hole at the very bottom. So this is just a little rocky class 3. The water has definitely come down a touch from last night. This looks big, but it'll be no problem. It's actually pretty straightforward, and I feel like the guys would have no issues in this, but it's just personal decision.
The decisions were made. Brian and Adam were going to line their boats down the rocky drop, about 8 feet of mank and boulders. I was going to push the boat upstream about 30 yards get in, and run the first honest rapid of the whole river. There's no way I was passing this up. All it was a straightforward wave train Class 3 with some boulders in it. Miss the boulders and you're fine. Hit the boulders, and well, it might get a little interesting. This manky little scoochy water above the drop would be the hardest part. Even though it's just a Class 3, there's no better way to start your morning than jumping into some big water. Where they race. Now we had a river. And that's how we started the most confusing day on the river. Brian and I were looking forward to the scenery in the rapids and moving water, while Adam wanted off the river as soon as possible. There was the excitement of seeing Greg later in the day, and the disappointment of losing Adam. There was the joy of watching beautiful scenery in rapids, and the pain of watching your buddy limping down a river. I could see Adam was already off the river in his mind. That can be a dangerous thing, as some of the rapids that lay ahead require focus. As much as I was enjoying the scenery and the moving water, my main focus was on getting Adam off the river safely in Marshall. One option would be to take out at an earlier access and wait for Jesse to show up around 3. But then we wouldn't make it to Marshall in time to meet Greg. Another option would be to leave him at the access and move on. But if Jesse had car trouble, we wouldn't be in a position to help. We needed to keep going to Marshall and keep the consolidation point together, where we could link up with Greg and Adam could link up with Jesse. This was a beautiful stretch of river. Some of the best water and scenery I've seen for a float trip. Bend after bend brought shoals and rapids stacked up one on top of another. Different kind of flora was happening. White pines, hemlock trees. It was starting to look like we were going into the mountains. All the while, Adam was processing all the emotions that come with leaving a trip early. I tried to keep things positive and assured him that it was no issue. But we're all human, and we've all felt those emotions. Up till now, he was just tired physically and mentally. Now, his emotions were on the line as well. In Cherokee folklore is the legend of the siren of the French Broad, and it goes something like this. A young man is traveling down the river. He makes camp for the night, but is kept awake, tossing and turning all night, dreaming of the most beautiful woman, singing the most beautiful song. She seems far away and he can't quite make her out, but he can hear the song. On day 2, he wakes up and continues his journey, but doesn't get as far as he's tired from lack of sleep. That night, he lays awake all night hearing the song and almost making out the beauty of the siren of the French Broad. On day 3, he continues his journey, but doesn't get far as he's worn out from lack of sleep. He makes his camp, turns in early, and doesn't even get inside his tent, but sleeps on the bank of the river. That night, he lays awake, hearing the song, and almost seeing the beauty. She's right there. On day 4, he is unable to continue as he's too tired from lack of sleep. He just lays on the side of the river and stares into a pool. And in the pool he sees the siren of the French Broad, reaching out to him. He stares too long and reaches for her and falls in, but it's not her arms that catch him, it's the arms of the beast that pull him in. A laugh is heard and he is never seen again. Well, the beast is here with her arms out, and I know who she's coming for. This is a terrible place to swim. I just hope he's okay. He actually had to swim through the second rapid as well. Unable to attain to his position, we have to wait for him to float to us. In the meantime, I grab his paddle from the current. I throw it into the slack water where Brian can retrieve it later. He's completely exhausted, but physically unharmed. But this took the last bit of life out of him. You can't really blame him. He gave it everything he had for 4 days, and the river ground him down. He had nothing left. The face of a man who had seen the beast. As I tow him, I know this is going to be a critical moment. I've seen people shut down after an experience like that. I just hope he bounces back. I need him to get back in that boat and get to Marshall. This will be a test to what he has inside. The video doesn't show just what he went through, but he was greatly affected. It was time to get out, give him a pat on the back, help him pump that boat out, and get his mind back in the right place.
Adam got wrapped up in a pretty gnarly rapid up there. Got broached up there. It was just a gnarly little ledge. He dumped, took a swim. No worse for the wear. Just gonna take a minute, catch a breath, get back in, try to make it down a little further.
Without hesitation, Adam jumps back in. Brian and I were impressed and happy to see he had the resolve to finish this out. His kids should be proud. Dad's a fighter. We just had to get through the rest of the ledges section here, and then it would be relatively smooth sailing. Kayaking class 2 and 3 in a loaded sea kayak is hard enough, but when you're completely exhausted in all ways, it's a very difficult thing. Somehow, despite everything that was going on, there was that little piece inside me that was able to see the beauty and the majesty of this place, was still able to enjoy the rapids, even though most of my focus was on getting Adam through. The expedition was in a critical moment. If Adam took another hard swim, he may have no gas left in the tank. We could not raise Greg on the cell, nor could we raise Jesse. They were both moving to our position in Marshall without any way to communicate. We had to keep the plan in place and keep pushing to Marshall. The rapids were fantastic and otherwise perfect, but they were coming at the wrong time. We needed some easy water, and we needed to be able to just limp this boat in and get him off the river. We took a small break at this sandbar under a bridge. Still no cell coverage. We had to keep pressing. And that river right S-turn marked the last of the tricky rapids. Adam came through with no problems. So did Brian.
Nice. Nice. Very nice.
There was a sense of relief in all three of us. I was happy he made it through the tricky stuff. And Yacoberry was happy he was almost off the river. It was a bluebird perfect day, one you don't get very often, in an amazing place with some amazing water. Yet we couldn't fully enjoy it till we got Adam where he needed to be. I remember looking up at the riverbank on the hillside and seeing these yellow flowers. I almost missed the beauty for everything going on. Adam got quiet and just kept the paddle in the water, while Brian and I, sensing the relief, started enjoying our day on the water. And then, the second most amazing thing to happen on the trip so far. The first gravel beach.
Well, here we are, guys. The trip is officially on now. We are on a gravel beach. First one on the trip from the very beginning. Mile 90 on the dot, gravel beach. I don't even know what to say. Whew.
It's cool.
Take this thing off.
Reminds me of home.
Reminds me of home. Yeah, we've had some phenomenal water. Beautiful river. Unfortunately, Adam's time to be with us on the river is almost over. He's going to be heading out at Marshall. We've got Jesse coming in to pick him up, and Greg is also going to be joining us. So while we're not excited about Adam not being able to finish it out with us, we do have Greg coming. So that's the way it goes. Sometimes you can get a whole week, sometimes you get 3-4 days.
Yep. Get what you can get.
You get what you can get.
That's right.
He finished it strong. Big gnarly swim up there at Ledges. Oh man.
That's the first time I took one backwards like that.
First time he took one backwards.
That was wild.
And
Backwards rapid.
backwards rapid. So then Brian saved his paddle and then went through Doo-Doo Hole. That's not the actual name, but since this is a family channel, I'll stick with Doo-Doo Hole. But it was pretty wild there for a minute, but we got everything back under control. Took a little break out on the sand there and finished up strong. Had a beautiful wind out. You couldn't ask for better weather and scenery. Starting to see big boulders on the river, rocks and not sand. It's turning into a River Kings river. So what Brian and I decided is this river is like a really good Christmas present, but you had really mean uncles who wrapped it up like 20 times and used duct tape, and you're working on that thing for 3 days to get that thing unwrapped.
You got to work so hard to finally get the present.
That's right. So we're finally getting it unwrapped. Unfortunately, Adam has done all the work to get to the good stuff. He's had a little of the good stuff, but that was a long, hard few days for him to get here. So we're just taking a quick break and then jump back in the boats. I think we got less than a mile or so to Marshall. I'm gonna look at the map. I'm not sure, but and then we'll kind of post up and wait for Greg and make sure Jesse and Adam get together. So yeah, that's where we're at.
Beautiful the weather. Man, what weather.
Yep. Well, onward. All right, everybody. We have today's pro tip of the week. Whenever you're on a week-long adventure with your buds, you should always have a bag of extra clothes, because you never know when that moment might be where you stop being decent in public. I just sat down in my kayak and my trusty old pants gave up on me, so always bring some other pants. There's always time to pack some pants.
With each paddle stroke closer to Marshall we got, you could see Adam relaxing. The edge was coming off. We knew there was no big rapids left, just some paddle strokes between here and where he got out. All that was left to do now was get him there, get our boats up to the road, and link up with Jesse. Then we had to link up with Greg, make a 2-dam portage, and then find a campsite for the night. It had been a big day already, but we had a little left to do. We would be pushing 3 o'clock as we rolled into Marshall, and in an effort to get Adam where he needed to be on time, per his request, we did not stop for lunch. We are all hungry, and we're all a little tired, and we're all looking forward to this place called Marshall. we finally got cell coverage. But with that came the most disheartening news. Greg's wife's grandmother had died overnight, and Greg was needing to be there to support his family and be the executor of the will. And with the most unceremonious access point, Adam ended his trip with us.
Railroad tracks and a little rumble strip, or a little gravel strip rather, she can pull out on. And we're waiting on Jesse, who is in Marshall somewhere, and we're trying to link up, so should be just momentary. Whew, that's a tote. Oh boy's hungry. Adam's walking Jesse in. He's right here coming. And we made link up. Right on. So we're gonna make our big portage here around the 2 dams at Marshall. Kind of unloading the boats so we can get them all in there on each other. And we're going to put on there. Adam's going to drive us around, drop us on the other side, and then that is the end of our time with Adam on this river. Go. I'm going to go wide here, Brian. Woo! That was uncalled for. The boats are loaded, and the train is leaving town. No good. All right, so he's all loaded up, ready to roll. Take it away, friend. All right, buddy. Till next time. Thanks again, Jesse.
All right.
The world's best shuttle bunny right there. Sorry, she's taken.
All right.
Right on. And just like that, it's lunchtime. Yum. MREs. All right, we're loaded up here at the bottom of Redmond Dam. Lunch is in the belly. We probably took almost an hour here just to kind of chillax and just kind of energize a little bit. We're not going far. Section 9 is only 4 or 5 miles down the river. We're just gonna get away from this put-in, find a place to camp, set up, and just hang. Tomorrow's a big day. Section 9. We'll take that one rapid at a time and all that, and looking forward to Hot Springs when that's over. And then it'll be the relaxing wind out. Hot Springs is going to be like the trophy. We get to Hot Springs, we're golden. The adventure continues, but everything sticky and tricky will be behind us. So what do you feel like, Brian?
Today has been, well, we've had challenging days with long miles.
Yep.
But it's been flat water, it's been a lot of pulling. Today we had good current and some of the most picturesque scenery we've seen.
Yep.
And some of the most challenging water. I mean, I've enjoyed it. I've banged off every rock in that river. And it's been a good day.
Yep. It's been a good day. I think it's going to get a little better when we find this camp. Downside, Adam left us, and Greg did not come. So whenever someone leaves your adventure, there's a little hole. You know, the group's not there as a whole anymore, so we'll get through that and onward.
It took Brian and I about an hour to process the changes that had just happened on the trip and to sort through what we were feeling about it all. But as we shoved off the bank there at Redmond Dam, there was truly a different feeling to everything. Once we came to grips with the fact that Greg would not be joining us and that Adam would not be making the full venture. And once we committed to moving on and getting down this beautiful river. It's as if the river accepted our passage into this great land. We had run the gauntlet, and we had earned the right to see what was below. Takeo stay. Our first day on this river had galvanized the different experiences we would share. It was not the same river as yesterday, and each paddler had a very different experience. The siren of the French Broad was still singing. She would have to wait till tomorrow, and I knew she'd be waiting. Tonight, I was going to kick my feet up by the riverside and listen to her sing her beautiful song. We had found the perfect campsite.
So here we are, found this awesome beach. Got this little piece of driftwood. Kind of put that up there. Every good camp needs a table, right? Got my cooking stuff, my Gatorade, my Voltaic charging. Still at 5 bars after a good day of sun. That'll keep you going. Hammock set up. Everything's waiting for tonight. Thanks to Wonder and Monkey Boys. Got my Walmart lights up here for the ridgeline. This beautiful sandy beach. You just walk out. Oh, heaven. Oh, that feels good. Look at Brian. Brian's smiling tonight. We're on Hubbard time. 5:30. We've spent 2 hours doing nothing, and it felt great. I'm about to go swimming here. Just kind of get the funk off of him. And you always feel better after you swim too, so. I feel great. I feel 100% refreshed after just doing nothing on a beach. You need those days every now and then. And we're kind of gearing up for tomorrow. We are definitely looking forward to hot springs after Section 9 tomorrow. But it's going to be nice and adventurous for these big boats, and I think it's just going to be what the doctor ordered. One last rapid after Frank Bell's is called Surprise, and that is I mean, it's just a ledge. And after that, the bridge at Hot Springs, we're going to pull out there and feast like kings.
Like
River kings.
Takio Stay. The first 18 miles of this river had been very transformative. The siren that had been dogging Adam had finally taken him down, as we paid our ultimate toll to the beast and lost a member of the crew. Greg would not be there to lift our spirits, but our eyes were on the prize. Tomorrow I would ride Nana into battle, with Brian by my side.